Okay, so Vermont officials are now openly talking about the Canadian boycott, and they seem to understand it a lot more than the state of Maine ever has. That's one of the clips we're going to go through today, and there's also a Florida update from one of my favorite content creators. We'll also take a look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. with the National Guard, and revisit that tourism official's video where he claimed having military around would actually make tourists feel safer. Like, what the fuck? He actually did say that. At the end of the video, I'm also going to show you a website that helps track the origins of everyday products you buy, and the list is growing every day. This should help you guys make sure that you are buying Canadian products. Before we get started, today's backdrop was sent to me on Blue Sky by one of our viewers named Real Grammy. The photo was taken along the Salmon Arm waterfront. Thank you for sending this in. Now I want to start off with a quick shout out to another content creator named Lena Down Under from Australia. One of our viewers mentioned that she gave both Josh from The Enemy Within and I a shout out in one of her videos. I checked out her channel and ended up binging through a few of her videos. She covers a lot on what's happening in the US right now, and she does a great job covering it. It's always good to see support coming from creators around the world, so I'm returning the favor. Make sure you check out our channel. I'll leave a link in the description, and let her know I sent you. Now, one of the last updates before we jump into today's video. A viewer on Blue Sky sent me an updated list of all the countries that have suspended parcel to the United States. I firmly believe this is going to be a big problem moving forward, unless Trump suddenly decides to back down and basically do a taco. Even though it's hurting people and businesses both in the US and globally, it's still encouraging to see other countries around the world taking a stand. All right, let's move into the panel video coming out of Vermont.
Pete, I want to stick with you because this story also involves President Trump in some ways because you have been talking with business owners, residents in the Northeast Kingdom. There's been a real drop-off in Canadian visitors this summer, and a lot of this has to do with some of the rhetoric from President Trump, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Northeast Kingdom is the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, no. Vermont is not the most beautiful place in the world. I could name 100 places in Canada and around the globe that are more beautiful than Vermont. I know I'm nitpicking here, but I really can't stand it when Americans make those kind of claims. My city is the best in the world. My country is the best in the world. Well, it isn't. And trust me, I could rant about this for a long time, but I'm not. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, right?
In a lot of people's books, mine included, and that beauty has drawn a lot of people up to the kingdom over the years, where the tourism economy has become increasingly important as we see, the manufacturing sector up there, agriculture sector become less solid economic anchors. So tourism is big in the kingdom, and people are feeling the pinch right now. There are far fewer Canadians coming into Vermont this year than there were last summer, and that is due to the Canadian boycott on American travel, due to some of President Trump's comments challenging Canada's sovereignty. And we are seeing a lot of not just tourism businesses, but other businesses reporting double-digit % decreases in.
I need to give credit where it's due. Even though I didn't like his comment about Vermont being the most beautiful place in the world, he did admit something important. He acknowledged that the rhetoric coming from his president is causing serious problems, double-digit % losses for the businesses. But watch this next part closely. I think it might be the first time ever I've actually heard someone say this.
Revenue year over year.
Well, I was thinking about this in the context of 5 years ago reporting a similar story about the drop in Canadian tourism, but that was due to the border being essentially shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and how stressful that was for businesses up there at the time, seeing the tourism plummet. And that was with the notion that at some point the pandemic would ease. But it's harder to know now whether or not the rhetoric is going to ramp down in a way that Canadians might start coming back over the border. I think the fact that it's sort of a boycott because of the rhetoric, they could cross the border, but they're not right now because of the political situation, I would imagine is more concerning for some of the businesses up there, because who knows when it might end. Like, there's no pandemic that's going to ease this time.
This guy actually gets it. I've covered dozens of reports where tourism or government officials brag that they bounced back after COVID, or after some natural disaster like a hurricane or whatever. But this boycott isn't COVID. It's self-determined by Canadians and our international allies. Back during COVID, people still wanted to go to the US once the borders opened. This time, the border is open, but we're choosing not to go. And yes, businesses should be a lot more worried this time. I have to admit, hearing this actually felt like a bit of an anger release for me, because finally, someone acknowledged the truth. So to whoever this panel guy is, thank you for finally saying it.
And a lot of these business owners, I talked to people who were born in Montreal, who now have businesses in Newport, for instance. They have friends in Canada, they have family in Canada, and they said they're not coming over anymore. And their sense is that this is not going to be a phenomenon where somebody says the right words and we're going to magically see a return of our Canadian friends to Vermont. They think it's going to take a really long time to mend these wounds.
And Pete, you were saying, this is hitting the kingdom especially hard because overall Canadian tourism to Vermont, and I found this fascinating, you reported this, it's not that much, about 5% total, but most of it goes to the kingdom, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are communities in northern Vermont where Canadians account for 35% of all the tourist traffic that they see. So when they're not coming over, that becomes a key demographic that a lot of people rely on that's just not there this year.
I'm going to stop it here because the panel moves on to other state issues that really don't apply to us. But if you want to watch the full video, I'll leave a link in the description below. But I'll say this, I'm glad they finally spoke the truth. The truth that Canadians aren't coming back because of the rhetoric. The truth that the recovery won't look anything like COVID. And the truth that it's not going to be something that can be fixed with a simple apology. Now let's move on to the next video from my favorite Florida content creator, Greg the Uber driver. He shares the real message about the impact Florida is facing without the Canadians.
Florida, Florida, Florida. Is Florida being boycotted again as they were in 2023 now that we're in August of 2025? I would say yes. Here's why I say this. And my Canadians are leading the way along with other international travelers. I have lived in South Florida 35 years. I have driven Uber the last 5 years plus since I retired. And here is what I'm seeing and here is what I'm hearing. Number one, in my business, I can tell is off significantly from where it should be in August over August. Yes, it's the summer, I know that. August over August, we're off. I've had many people that work in restaurants, hotels, etc. Everybody's telling me the same thing. Everybody's feeling the pinch. And here's what we can show by numbers that you can look up. For example, the Fort Lauderdale airport is down 11% in travel. Huge drop. Miami is down 8.2%. Huge drop. And we're seeing that the Canadians in particular are the largest group, but many other international are not coming here because of Trump's policies and DeSantis. And we're seeing this. Seeing that Canadian leisure is off 35 to 40%, and Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, one of their top spots has been in the past. We're feeling the hit.
So they're definitely starting to feel the hit. But I'm sure DeSantis is out there pretending everything is fine, just because the 2024 numbers look good. But if you're not sure what I mean, here's that clip again.
We continue to set tourism records. 2024 saw more than 142 million visitors come to the state of Florida. This includes 3.3 million visitors from Canada. That's not much of a boycott in my book. Maybe they wanted to get a glimpse of what a Stanley Cup winning hockey team actually looks like.
I'll say it again like I did in my last video. What an arrogant prick. Look at that smug face. And yeah, it's a very punchable face. But here's the reality, Governor DeSantis. Your words don't mean shit. This is the reality in Florida right now.
I don't know if it's the hurricane, the economy, a mix of the two, but we've definitely been, everybody around here that I spoke to has been down about 30% this year.
This year, since the hurricane, it's been really bad, so it's really hard to tell.
Now, 1 month later, they tell me that just didn't happen.
Spring break really never happened for us, and then the summer swing never happened for us either.
So, Mr. DeSantis, this is the reality. Nothing in your 2024 message holds any ground. It just makes you look like an idiot. And these business owners aren't much better. They're blaming the hurricanes or the economy, but not a single word about their president or the government rhetoric. They're probably part of the problem as well.
The Canadians are making us feel it. The other international travelers are feeling it. They are tired of seeing these photos, I guess, and afraid of seeing these photos where you have a visa, you're here legally, and they're being thrown into alligator Alcatraz. You know, legitimate tourists, and they're being picked up. And it's causing a negative impact on the economy here. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Governor DeSantis. You all have negatively impacted the economy. And it is in Florida, it's over $100 billion a year industry. And they're expecting a minimum $10 billion drop because of this. If you Google the numbers and Google the information, you'll see that. And it may be bigger. And the thing is this, I think many of these Canadian travelers, for example, that have shifted from coming to Florida, they're going to Central and South America, that they're going to other destinations. They're not coming back. They're not coming back. We've lost this business forever thanks to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. There you have it.
This is why I love Greg the Uber driver's videos. No bullshit, straight to the point, and backed up with facts. I really encourage everyone to follow him on TikTok. And just a quick comment on his last point. He's right. A lot of us are not coming back. We've already picked our different destinations. And he knows exactly who to blame. Now let's move on to the next videos. This one is from Nick, who I also follow on TikTok. Oh, and if you're wondering about the missing co-host today, she's in the living room. The door is open if she wants to come in, but I guess she's deciding to take a day off today.
So a little bit of breaking news, folks. It's now being reported by the Washington Post that Donald Trump wants to send up to 3,000 National Guard members to Chicago. And also, he isn't ruling out the possibility of sending regular armed services personnel also to Chicago. Folks, let me know what you think about this in the comments. The source is the Washington Post. My name's Nick. Would love you guys to give me a follow.
Definitely give Nick a follow. Now think about this. Would you really want to take a vacation in Chicago, surrounded by thousands of National Guard and armed personnel? That doesn't really sound like a very welcoming place to me. And my guess, by the end of the year, we're going to see more and more major cities with heavy military presence. It feels like the beginning of that movie Civil War that came out last year. Now let's take a look at what's happening in Washington.
All right, so now we see these 3 National Guard members do have their 9mm pistols on their hip. So here you have it, the armed National Guard. Now, what is National Guard going to do with their pistols? Who the fuck knows? Because you can't turn it on American citizens, right? So you've literally armed our Guard for no reason. This is just asking for escalation. This is just asking for something to go wrong. You know, when I was in the Army, negligent discharges happened all the time. So how many of these National Guard who are not used to having their M9 on their hip going to ND in D.C.? We don't know. This is absolutely irresponsible. This is absolutely misuse of our service members. And this is just to intimidate the American people. Our American military is not here to intimidate its own people, but that is how they're being used.
The land of the free, right? Sometimes I have to sit back and ask myself, is this shit really going on down south? It feels like we're living in some broken timeline. But unfortunately, this is reality. And on top of that, we now got guys trying to convince us that this is normal and that we should somehow feel safer because of all of this military.
This isn't D.C.'s first test, pointing to events like January 6th, the sniper attacks, even 9/11, and each time tourism bounced back. But some, like city economic development expert John Boyd, believes this extra security may actually help.
We think this will be a boost for tourism. The additional law enforcement presence, I think, gives comfort to a lot of folks and makes them feel more comfortable spending money in the district.
You, sir, are a certified idiot. Let me ask my audience this. Would you feel safer going to Washington, D.C. with armed military forces roaming the streets, profiling people, watching your every move? And that's without even mentioning the ICE agents. Or the fun of dealing with CBP just trying to get there. This guy's message to his American viewers is exactly why the average American has no idea what the hell is going on. I don't even think I need to explain it. I'm sure that a lot of you are just as WTF about that comment as I am. Now, to close off today's video on a positive note, I wanted to share a website that some of you might already know of, or you might not. It's called the Canada List. It's a site that helps everyday consumers look up the products that they're buying to make sure that it is Canadian made. There are tons of categories to choose from. For example, you can even look up the different brands of vinegar, and it will show you who owns the company and where the product is actually manufactured. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out yourself. Hopefully this helps everyone to steer clear from US-made products moving forward. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button so this message can reach more people. And don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And if you're still here and you want to see more of my videos, check out the other ones that are showing up on your screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.